Hello, dear audience. I'm teacher of the Purdue University, Bucharest State University. I'm the ASP teacher. My name is Shigabutdinova Dina Shigabutdinova. And now we are going to talk about unintended consequences. What is a consequences itself? Consequences is the one thing that could be laid after the big result. For example, consequences as an erosion gully in Australia caused by rabbits and unintended consequence of their introduction as game animals. And you see there's a desert or some soil with dirty things and with dusting, and it's corrupted and making some stone soil earth. And this is a rabbit inhabitants makes kind of unintended consequences for the earth. You see how many trees are damaged in the picture. A lot of things looks like a desert, and this vivid place become like a desert after invaded by rabbits. And about their unintended consequences in social science, sometimes it's inappropriate consequences or unforeseen consequences are outcomes of the useful action that are of the procedure of the first thing. The term was populated in the 20th century by American socialist Robert Manchman and experienced by the economist Thomas Sowell and psychologist Stuart East. And this consequences of unintended consequences leads to provide person a psychological background as people who can look forward and make foreseen decisions to do the less beautiful unintended consequences to prevent. So next is about the origin of unintended consequences and variations of it. The one of this is John Locke. John Locke is a famous philosopher and his politician. The idea of unintended consequences dates back at least to John Locke, who discusses the unintended consequences of interest rate regulation in his letter to Sir John Somers, member of a parliament. And the thing of unintended consequences is one of the most important things to in the political fields to prevent some undesirable effects, and it could take the policy of environment to take some things into considerations, to take some ecology. And next to talk about that was Adam Smith. The idea was also discussed by Adam Smith, the Scottish Enlightenment, and Enlightenment movement was also the definited Enlightenment, and people try to make the world better and to make some improving in the ordinary life. So his consequentialism, and it was judging by results. The next is Friedrich Engels. And Friedrich Engels, not only the politician, he also touched one of the idea of unintended consequences in his discussion of Ludwig Feuerbach. The aims of the actions are intended, but the results which actually follow from these actions are not intended, or when they do seem to correspond to the end intended. They ultimately have consequences quite other than those intended. And Robert K. Merton is a sociologist, and the sociologist people try to always to make some scientific issues, and he popularized this concept in the 20th century in the anticipated consequences of purposive social action, 1936. Merton tried to apply a systematic analysis to the problem of unintended consequences of deliberate acts intended to cause social change. He emphasized that his term purposive action was exclusively concerned with conduct as distinct from behavior, that is, with action that involves motives and consequently a choice between various alternatives. Martin's usage included the variation from what Max Weber defined as rational social action, instrumentally rational and value rational. Merton also stated that no blanket statement categorically affirming or denying the particular feasibility of all social planning is warranted. So it was about the origin of unintended consequences and variations. So how can we determine what, what place the origin comes and what the backwards of unintended consequences? They can last for many years. For example, if we do something wrong or make some spoil our earth or soil, and it could be effect for many years after. So everyday usage of it, and more recently, the law of unintended consequences has come to be used as an adage or automatic warning that an intervention in a complex system tends to create unanticipated and often undesirable outcomes. Akin to Murphy's Law, it's commonly used as a ray or humorous warning against the heuristic belief that humans can fully control the world around them, not to presuppose a belief in a predestination or a lack of a disbelief in that of free will. And people really believe that they can predict and know everything about the future, or sometimes they really doesn't care about people, person ones who doesn't care about the unintended consequences which can lead to spoil environment or any other field of life in the future. And causes could be like possible causes of unintended consequences include the world's inherent complexity. It's a part of a system responding to change in the environment. Reverse incentives, human stupidity, self-deception, failure to account for human nature, or other cognitive or emotional biases. As a sub-component of complexity in the scientific sense, the chaotic nature of the universe, and especially its quality of having small, apparently insignificant changes with far-reaching effects. Example, the butterfly effect applies. For example, once when we can try to poisoned breads, and we put some poison for the rat, and after they've been eaten up this poison, they die in that soil, and that soil also takes this poison into the roots of the trees and the roots of the flowers and some apples and vegetables, fruits, and after eating that person, a human being also could be infected or be poisoned, or when people trying to be demonstratively egoistic and thinks about only their beneficial things or their pleasures, they can neglect the unintended consequences about their behavior. And we are living in a social atmosphere, in a social world, and we should prevent some things like self-deception, self-destruction, and destructions of the other people. And next is the possible causes of unanticipated consequences. In 1936, Robert Carr Merton listed 5 possible causes of anticipated consequences. It's an ignorance, making it impossible to anticipate everything, thereby leading to incomplete analysis. Errors in analysis of the problem or following habits that worked in the past but may not apply in the current situation. So immediate interest overriding long-term interests. Basic values which may require or prohibit certain actions even if the long-term result might be unfavorable. These long-term consequences may eventually cause changes in basic values and self-detecting prophecy or the fear of some consequence which drives people to find solutions before the problem occurs. Thus, the non-occurrence of the problem is not anticipated. In addition to Merton's causes, psychologist Stewart Watts has noted that groupthink described by Irving Janis has been blamed for some decisions that result in unintended consequences. It's also some example of when people neglecting some what it seems unimportant things exactly can go to opposite reaction. So, the sinking of ships in shallow waters during wartime has created many artificial coral reefs, which can be scientifically valuable and have become an attraction for recreational divers. Retired ships have been purposely sunk in recent years is an effort to replace coral reefs lost to global warming and other factors. In medicine, most drugs have unintended consequences or side effects associated with their use. However, some are beneficial. For instance, aspirin, a pain reliever, is also an anticoagulant that can help prevent heart attack and reduce the severity and damage from thrombic strokes. The existence of beneficial side effects also leads to off-label use, prescription or use of a drug for an unlicensed purpose. Famously, the drug Viagra was developed to lower blood pressure with its use for treating erectile dysfunction. being discovered as a side effect in clinical trials. Also, some of the example is preventing heart attack and heart stroke is Lipredex or antifibrillin extraction drug, which is leads to improve your blood circulation, can make side effect on your kidneys, and it's really existing of showing yourself every 3 weeks to be on the kidneys doctor to checking up, and this drug is also should be taken with care. Also, many side effects as to talk about our life prevention of the life. When people try to make some current decision and in the position when they love somebody and try to make everything to be with that person, when the second party doesn't want, it could be also lead to unintended consequences when children live in the happy family. Most modern technologies have negative consequences that are both unavoidable and unpredictable. For example, almost all environmental problems, from chemical pollution to global warming, are the unexpected consequences of the application of modern technologies. Traffic consideration, deaths, and injuries from car accidents, air pollution, and global warming are unintended consequences of the invention and large-scale adoption of the automobile. Hospital infection are the unexpected side effect of embolic resistance, and even human population growth leading to that environmental disbalance is a side effect of various technological, for example, agricultural, industrial revolutions. Because of the complexity of that deliberate changes is an ecosystem of the other environmental interventions have often usually negative unintended consequences. Sometimes those effects cause permanent unintended consequences. Examples include during the worldwide killing of sparrows was declared, Chinese leaders later realized that sparrows ate a large amount of insects as well as grains. Rather than being increased, rice yields after the campaign was substantially decreased. During the scenes of killing of dogs and policy of killing dogs and cats was ordered, it left untouched, they would have made a significant reduction for road population that carried the fleas which transmitted the disease. And as about the perceived consequences of an environmental invention, and next we go for the picture of unintended consequences and their types. And first is unexpected benefits, unexpected damages, and perverse effect. And we will talk about the unexpected benefits. Sometimes when we think that it could lead some unexpected or unintended consequences, it could opposite make us take us for some benefits. And we can have unexpected drawbacks, for example, usage and utilizing the old computers or old gadgets, and we can see the perverse result. So unintended consequences could be the medicine in their side effects, cars with their accidents, and technology with the digital extremism. A law of unintended consequences Any intervention in a complex system may or may not have the intended result, but will inevitably create unanticipated and often undesirable outcomes, mainly used as caution against a hubristic approach to life. And now we see the example of unintended consequences when a person egoistically cut a tree and only ate one apple, but the tree will die forever. And also in 1936, Robert Merton listed 5 possible causes, and first is ignorance, second errors in analyzing, third immediate interest, in short-term interest reaching some values, and basic values which may require or prohibit certain actions even in the long-term result, and first self-defeated prophecy. So I'd like you to have a picture seeing which unintended consequence leads for making one road, for making some convenient way, maybe for everyone, and see what it could lead for unintended consequences. And I would like to thank you for your attention. Goodbye.